Hey, what's going on everybody? This is Manual Gearbox and we're back with Assetto Corsa with our Old School is Good School series, and look what we have here in front of us today. This is most likely a 1986 Lamborghini Countach. Lamborghini was developed back in the Countach was introduced in 1974 and it kept going in production for 1990. This most likely is a 1986 model because it looks very similar to that of Jay Leno. Jay Leno owns one. He did a video on that on Jay Leno's Garage. I recommend you guys check it out. The other reason is because this is a quattro valvole, which means it's got 4 valves per cylinder. So I think that was introduced during the 1985 or 1986. I'm not sure, but yeah, that was a giveaway right there. Yeah, this car is considered by many to be the poster car. I mean, I used to have one of those posters here in my bedroom. It was glued to my closet door, and mine was white, just the one you're seeing here in front of you, and it had its doors open. It was a front shot, a front quarter panel with the doors open, and I mean, I just spent days, hours just watching that poster and just imagining what it would be like to own one of these. And yeah, it was the dream car of everybody. If you grew up in the 1980s, 1990s, this is the car that everybody wanted to own. And of course, looking at this car, you would think, oh my God, this has to be like the fastest car in the world, right? I mean, look at it. It has to be, it looks fast. It's very, very, very slick. But it wasn't. I mean, this car's top speed was around 170 miles per hour. And I mean, 170 is a lot of speed, but just looking at the profile, you think that this car would easily break 200 miles an hour. It wasn't the most aerodynamic car, to be honest. In fact, Jay Leno removed the rear wing of the car because it added more drag and thus, subtracted speed. But yeah, like Jay Leno said, this car was simply a box on wheels with a big engine on it, and that was the end of it. I mean, there was no technology, there was no ABS, there was no traction control. It is no big, it's no big secret that nobody in the world ever took a Countach and homologated to become a race car. You don't see Countach race cars anywhere. At least I haven't seen them. Unlike the Ferrari F40, which was introduced in 1987, that car was immediately taken by a lot of owners and homologated to compete in Le Mans, for example, and other categories, but not the Lamborghini Countach. I mean, this car, it wasn't the best handling car out there. It was a car to show off, but not a car to compete with. So yeah, it's got a big engine in the back. I think it's a 5.4 liter V12. That thing is cranking around 450 brake horsepower. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't the fastest car of its day, but it definitely was one of the most badass machines out there. So yeah, and this is what we're going to be driving today. I'm not going to be racing this car. I'm just going to be turning out a few laps in Barcelona, Circuit de Catalonia. And yeah, I'm going to do, I don't know, maybe a couple laps, and I'll just give you guys some feedback on how the car handles, how it feels, and yeah, that's the end of it. So I'll see you guys on the racetrack. Okay, so we're on board the Lamborghini Countach. Just getting everything ready here. Okay, so let's go out. We're at Barcelona, Circuit de Catalonia. I mean, just listen to that V12 in the back. Oh yeah. Okay, so when Assetto Corsa designs a car and adds it to the sim, they don't just grab the car or pictures and just model it in 3D, add some sound to it. They obviously go to Lamborghini. They obviously go to Lamborghini, ask for permission, and if they grant permission, Lamborghini gives them all the available data they have at their disposal, so that the developers can model the car very close to what the real deal, you know, felt like. So this is no exception here. I mean, the Lamborghini Countach, as I said earlier, fantastic lines, but not the best handling car in the world. This car understeers like crazy, and it definitely does not feel fast. I mean, it does have a top speed of 170 miles per hour. That would be, I don't know, maybe 240. Oh no! Holy Jesus! And that's a... well, it's a good thing this is the outlap, so no harm done. No adjustments were made on the garage regarding suspension or gear ratios. The gear ratios are extremely tall, so very rarely you'll need fifth gear. In fact, you know, despite the fact that it has 5 gears, 5 speed, and the brakes are kind of small for the car. And believe it or not, this car actually weighs around 4,000 pounds. So it's a heavy car, and obviously for a heavy car you need big brakes. This car doesn't seem to have them, because it takes an insane amount of distance to slow the car down. Yep, went a little bit too hot in here. And that's one of the reasons why this car was never used in competition. Had it been a very good handling car, you know, like other sports cars of the day, you probably would have seen this car in Le Mans, or maybe a Lamborghini Cup competition, I don't know. But as of now, I'm 40 years old, and I have yet to have seen a Lamborghini race car. I mean, a Countach race car. But who cares about that? I mean, this is the car with the sexy lines, and everybody knew that. In fact, if you look at the stands around the racetrack, there's a whole bunch of people. You see them right in front of us, right there? All of them had the poster in their bedrooms. All of them. That's why they're here. They came out to see their dream car when they were kids. And yeah, I mean, obviously if you live in a fancy city, I don't know, anywhere around the world, you take this car out now, these days, people will still look at you. I mean, they will still take pictures of it. I mean, even compared to the modern supercars, this is an icon, believe it or not. This is a true icon of the supercar world. Not to mention the V12 behind you with the screaming third gear is very tall, so it's practically useless around corners. See what I mean? This car uses the same engine and gearbox as the Lamborghini Miura, obviously with a few modifications. The Lamborghini Miura had engine mounted sideways across the chassis, whereas this one is longitudinal. And I said earlier in the intro, this car was a 5.4 liter engine, V12. It isn't. It's actually a 5.2 liter. The Cuatro Valvoles, a 5.2 liter engine. Very slow around the corners. Even though we've done a few laps, the tires are warmed up. And still the car does not want to turn. It's a heavy car. But it remains the king of the poster nonetheless. So yeah, we're going to park the car now. And we're going to take the car, we're going to take a car from the outside. Take a look to the car from the outside, I should say. And yeah, you'll see what I'm talking about. I mean, you've seen this car yourselves. This is one of the sexiest cars ever. And nothing can take that away from it. I don't care if they introduce new Lamborghinis like the Huracan, the Aventador, or the Veneno. This will always be their granddaddy. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'm going to leave a few laps of the replay so you can see the car from the outside, and you're going to love this car. Okay, so see you guys in the next one, and bye-bye.